You know that feeling when you've watched so many LGBTQ plus movies that you're convinced you've already seen everything worth watching? Well, I'm about to prove you wrong, because today, we're digging into 10 LGBTQ plus movies that somehow managed to fly under the radar. From unforgettable romances to stories you probably won't believe you've never heard of. So if you're ready to discover your next favorite, let's get into it. What if falling in love gave you the courage to stop caring what the world thought of you, even when the world had already given you every reason to be angry? The Living End follows John, a quiet film critic who has just learned that he's HIV positive, and Luke, a reckless drifter who is living with HIV too. When their paths unexpectedly cross, the two men couldn't seem more different. John is cautious and withdrawn, while Luke is impulsive, angry, and completely unwilling to play by society's rules. Released in 1992, during the height of the AIDS crisis, The Living End wasn't interested in making queer characters quiet, respectable, or easy to understand. It was furious, messy, provocative, and unapologetically queer. And underneath all that anger is something surprisingly tender. The connection between two people trying to make sense of love and mortality when neither one knows how much time they have left. It's one of those films that feels like a time capsule of queer cinema, and somehow it still hits incredibly hard today. Now, this movie is a little different from everything we're about to get in later, because this one comes from a filmmaker you probably know for a very different kind of LGBTQ plus cinema. Greek Pete was the feature film debut of Andrew Haigh, the filmmaker who would later give us Weekend and All of Us Strangers. The film follows Pete, a young male escort who arrives in London hoping to build his career and make enough money to create the life he wants. But while navigating London's escort scene, Pete meets Kai, and the two begin a romantic relationship. And knowing that this was Andrew Haigh's first feature makes it even more fascinating when you look at the filmmaker he eventually became. Greek Pete may be rougher and far more unconventional than his later work, but you can already see his interest in intimacy, relationships, and complicated human connections. So if you've seen Weekend or All of Us Strangers but somehow never heard of the film that started Andrew Haigh's feature film journey, Greek Pete is definitely one to put on your radar. What if finding someone you thought you'd lost forever took you across borders and into a world you never expected to discover? That's where Crossing begins. Leah is a retired teacher from Georgia who makes a promise to find her long-lost transgender niece, Tekla. With the help of Achi, a young man who has his own reasons for leaving home, Leah travels to Istanbul hoping to bring Tekla back. But finding her turns out to be much harder than they imagined. And somewhere along the way, their search introduces Leah to Evrim, a transgender lawyer fighting for the rights of people in Istanbul's trans community. What makes Crossing so beautiful is that it isn't simply about finding one missing person. It's about understanding someone you may have failed to understand before, and discovering that home, family, and belonging don't always mean what we thought they did. With its vibrant Istanbul setting, emotional storytelling, and remarkably human characters, Crossing is one of those films that quietly sneaks up on you. And somehow, a movie this beautifully made still feels like something far too many people haven't discovered yet. Imagine making a movie about AIDS in 1985 when fear and misinformation were everywhere, and doing it with almost no money, no Hollywood backing, and barely any characters on screen. That's Buddies. The story follows David, a young gay man who volunteers through a community center to become a buddy for someone living with AIDS. He is assigned to Robert, a politically outspoken gay man who is seriously ill and has been abandoned by many of the people who once cared about him. What makes Buddies extraordinary is how intimate it feels. Much of the film takes place in Robert's hospital room, allowing the relationship between these two men to carry almost the entire story. And here's something you might not know. Released in 1985, Buddies was the first film to deal with the AIDS pandemic, arriving before the television film An Early Frost. And somehow, a film this historically important remains far less known than it should be. What happens when your best friend has always been your person, until suddenly, someone else becomes the most important person in their life. Stud Life takes us into the vibrant queer world of East London, following JJ and Seb, two best friends who work together as wedding photographers and seem almost inseparable. JJ is confident, stylish, and completely comfortable in her identity. Seb is a gay man with a very different personality, but the two have built a friendship that feels almost like family. What begins as an exciting new romance slowly starts changing the friendship between JJ and Seb. It's not a perfect love story, and that's exactly why Stud Life feels like one of those LGBTQ+ movies that deserve to be seen by far more people. Before we continue, if you're enjoying these movie recommendations, you can also become a member of PrideReviews and support the channel. It's completely optional, but every bit of support means so much to me. So if you'd like to join our little PrideReviews family, you'll find the join button right below the video. Now, let's get back to the movies. Some LGBTQ+ movies are hidden gems because nobody talks about them. And then there are movies like this where you watch the first few minutes and think, what on earth am I watching? Please Baby Please follows newlyweds Susie and Arthur, a seemingly conventional couple living on Manhattan's Lower East Side. One night, they witness a brutal attack by a leather-clad street gang called the Young Gents. But instead of simply being terrified by what they saw, the encounter awakens something unexpected in both of them. Arthur finds himself drawn toward Teddy, the gang's charismatic leader, while Susie begins questioning the feminine identity and traditional role she's been trying to fit into. And from there, the movie completely throws the rulebook out the window. It's part musical, part fever dream, part queer exploration of masculinity and femininity, with a deliberately exaggerated 1950s-inspired world that feels like West Side Story wandered into a John Waters movie. This definitely isn't a movie for everyone. But if you're looking for something genuinely strange, stylish, campy, and completely unlike the usual LGBTQ+ recommendations, Please Baby Please might be exactly the movie you didn't know you needed. What if your friend group was basically your family, and all four of you were trying to find love while figuring out life at the same time? Punks follows four gay black friends living in Los Angeles: Marcus, Hill, Dante, and Crystal, each with a completely different personality and their own complicated approach to love. Marcus is the shy photographer. Hill is the confident ladies' man. Well, more accurately, a man who knows exactly what he wants. Dante is the wealthy newcomer trying to find his place, and Crystal is the fabulous drag queen who brings plenty of personality to the group. Unfortunately, the movie never received the distribution it deserved. Despite finding an audience on the festival circuit, music rights problems contributed to it becoming extremely difficult to find. And that's honestly one of the biggest reasons Punks deserves to be rediscovered today. It isn't just an overlooked LGBTQ+ movie. It's a snapshot of black gay life and friendship that far too many people never got the chance to see. What happens when you're trying to be the perfect daughter, the perfect bisexual, and somehow still feel like you're failing at being yourself? That's the wonderfully messy world of appropriate behavior. Sharon is a bisexual Iranian-American woman living in Brooklyn, and when her relationship with her girlfriend Maxine falls apart, she finds herself completely lost. Her family doesn't even know she's bisexual, so while she's trying to figure out how to move forward after the breakup, she's also trying to navigate a life where a huge part of who she is remains hidden. What makes this movie stand out is how unapologetically imperfect Sharon is. She's awkward, funny, impulsive, and sometimes makes absolutely terrible decisions. But that's exactly what makes her feel real. Appropriate behavior doesn't turn bisexuality or Iranian-American identity into a simple coming-out story. And if you're tired of LGBTQ+ movies where everyone has their life figured out, you might want to give this one a chance. Before LGBTQ+ cinema from Africa started getting wider international attention, there was a film from Guinea quietly breaking ground in a way very few people knew about. Dakan follows Manga and Sari, two young men who fall deeply in love. But their relationship isn't simply challenged by the people around them. the society they live in makes their love incredibly difficult to pursue openly. What makes this film remarkable is where and when it was made. Released in 1997, Dakan became a landmark in African queer cinema, portraying a gay relationship in a place where homosexuality was heavily stigmatized. But underneath its historical importance is a very human story. Two people trying to hold on to their feelings while family expectations, social pressure, and the fear of being rejected keep pulling them apart. It's simply a story about two men who fall in love when the world around them is telling them they shouldn't. Nearly 3 decades later, Dakan remains one of those LGBTQ+ films that deserves to be discovered by a much wider audience. Imagine falling in love for the first time, while also trying to keep your entire family from finding out who you really are. That's exactly where Saving Face takes us. Will Pang is a young Chinese-American doctor living in New York, and on the surface, she seems to have her life completely under control. But Will is secretly gay, and coming out isn't exactly something her traditional family is ready to accept. Then things get even more complicated when her mother suddenly arrives pregnant, unmarried, and completely unwilling to reveal who the father is. Now Will is trying to help her mother restore the family's reputation, while secretly falling for Vivian, an openly gay dancer who encourages Will to stop living according to everyone else's expectations. What makes Saving Face so special is that it doesn't make Will choose between her culture and her sexuality. Instead, it explores the complicated space between family, tradition, love, and finally learning to live honestly. If you love LGBTQ+ movies that can make you laugh, break your heart, and still leave you feeling hopeful, this is one you really shouldn't have missed. And that's the list. How many of these movies had you heard of before? Let me know in the comments and tell me which one you're adding to your watch list. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to PrideReviews, and share it with someone who's always looking for their next LGBTQ+ movie to watch. And remember, there are always more stories worth discovering. And I'll see you in the next one.